the Minnesota Blizzards of the American Basketball Association, and by continuing contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Buster Media Group is proud to present high school girls basketball. Today we wrap up the girls portion of the regular season with the Twin Cities Championship game. The Humboldt Hawks host the Roosevelt Teddies. The Humboldt Hawks making their first ever appearance in the Twin Cities game, fresh off their first conference win in school history. Stick around, this will start shortly. Hello everyone, Mike Peden here with Ben Coleman. Ben, nice to have you to wrap up the girls season.
Nice to be here again.
Now we've got two schools kind of unknown in St. Paul, Minneapolis City Conferences. Humboldt beat Central Thursday night, 71-66 to clinch the St. Paul City Conference title, something they have never done in girls basketball. And as a reward, they get Roosevelt, a team that hasn't been here since 1992. So what are we going to learn from these two schools who have been in the shadows of the powerhouses south of Minneapolis and Central and St. Paul?
Well, I guess you can state there's going to be a new era now, and maybe they're bringing in a new era for the Humboldt as well as the Roosevelt. Both schools are coming from good conferences, and it's just their turn now to shine as opposed to the other teams in the past.
Now Humboldt, they've done it for the last few years with the Hicks sisters. They have 4 winning seasons in the last 5 years. First year with their new coach, Chris Vanderhyde, but Annessa Hicks, the player to watch for Humboldt. She's leading the St. Paul City Conference with 20.7 points per game, and she has put up a career-high 37 this season against Minneapolis South.
Wow.
And the South coach, Emil Jihad, told me that the Humboldt team is worth the money and then some.
Well, their record precedes them. I believe if you can put up these kind of wins, then of course you got the hard work and the facility and the coaches and everybody behind you to make it this far. So it's a good program. Looking forward to seeing this game.
14-7, but most of those losses to schools outside their class, which will have no effect on them in state tournament play. Roosevelt, similar situation. Their first win since 1992. They beat Humboldt earlier this year, 78-63 at Humboldt. So Roosevelt, they're used to playing Humboldt before, but how do they adjust with Humboldt getting a second win?
Well, it's hard to say, but I know Roosevelt is mostly shining because of the new coaches that took over at North High School. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't even be here. So this is a great opportunity for them to come out from the shadows of North High School. They already proved they've beaten Humboldt once, so I'm pretty sure they can do it again. But at the same time, Humboldt's going to be hungry. They're going to revenge their earlier loss, and it's going to be a tough game for them.
Suriya McGuire will lead the way for the Teddies, along with Shaquila Bowler, who's back after some knee injuries. So let's take a look at the keys to the game. We'll start with the visiting Roosevelt Teddies. They're going to want to know where Annessa Hicks is at all times. Again, 20.7 points per game, and she can score anywhere, outside, inside. She may not have that post presence. You know, she's only 5'2", but she can score from anywhere, so you got to know where she is. They need to involve all the marquee players on offense, and that includes McGuire, that includes Bowler. Kaylani Edwards is doing pretty well. Jasmine Bell is averaging 15.4 points per game. So the players that have been contributing all season for Roosevelt have to contribute this time, and they want to score on fast breaks. Both teams are up-tempo, so Roosevelt will want to get those quick points before Humboldt has a chance to set up. Speaking of Humboldt, their keys, they want to deal with McGuire and Bowler specifically. McGuire doing pretty much everything for the Teddies. She leads in every major statistical category except rebounds, and she's pretty close to leading there too. Leads the state in assists, over 8 a game. Has 111 steals, 50 blocks. Coach Michael Wright told me she can do everything. She's like a female Super Mario. They want to preach the team concept at Humboldt. They got here as a team. It wasn't just Annessa Hicks. Angelina's been doing big things for them, and a couple of players who had never played organized basketball before this season stepped in. Alexis Clark and Kayla Holt. They've done big, so they want to make sure they win as a team like they've done all season, and they want to control the tempo without fouling. The first time these two teams met, Chris Vanderhyde told me Humboldt got into foul trouble early, and that cost them in the end. Humboldt was up by double digits before Roosevelt won the game by double digits. So two new teams strike in the Twin Cities Championship game. Who will earn the breaking rights? Stick around to find out. The starting lineups are coming up next.
The Minnesota Blizzards of the American Basketball Association, and by continuing contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome back. Here are the starting lineups. We'll begin with the visiting Minneapolis Roosevelt Teddies. For Roosevelt, the starters will be Suriya McGuire at forward, team captain. Taisha Wright at guard, team captain. Jasmine Bell at forward, team captain. Shaquila Buller at guard, team captain. And Kaylani Edwards at center. Suriya McGuire, she's done a lot of great things for Roosevelt this year, and she's the reason why Minneapolis has won that conference title for the first time in 18 years. 16.2 points per game, averaging 8 assists a game, averaging a double-double this season in terms of points and rebounds. She will be headed to the University of Miami. St. Paul Humboldt, the starting five is nothing new. If you watched our game last week against Highland Park, it's Annessa Hicks at guard, Leticia Hernandez at guard, Angelina Hicks at guard, Teresa Larotte at guard, and Brianna McDonough at forward. Again, Annessa Hicks, the player to watch for Humboldt, 20.7 points per game. She holds the St. Paul City Conference record for most career three-point field goals in conference play. And like we mentioned in the open, Chris Vanderhyde told me the thing with Annessa Hicks is she can score anywhere.
Exciting to watch a player of that caliber.
So that takes care of the starting lineups, and I'm impressed that Roosevelt has even sent out their cheerleaders.
Well, this crowd is into the game, and the tip-off hasn't even begun yet. This is going to be a real loud game. I see that now. And the cheerleaders are here, the fans are here. And it's a small arena, so it's going to be real loud here tonight.
A little bigger than South, but you're right, pretty small arena. I didn't cover them. I scouted Humboldt Thursday night when they beat Central 71-66. And the thing with Humboldt, what impresses me the most is they have a no-quit mentality. They had that same mentality against Highland Park. They were down by 15 early in the first half and slowly clawed their way back. And Central, they had to sweat it out. They didn't get any larger than a 7-point lead against them. And then there was a few cases where it seemed like both teams were doing everything they could to give the other team a win. With silly mistakes, throwing the ball away. Right. Central was missing a lot of their free throws. Humboldt just not all together in the first half, but Humboldt did get their act together when it counted, and that's why they're here in this game. This is the first time they've played here, and obviously the first time they've hosted, and everybody is jumping for joy for Humboldt for what this means to the program. This was a laughingstock for many years until they've got on this stretch. Their last winning season was 1988, and then of course, as I mentioned, 4 winning seasons in their last 5 years, so Humboldt really has turned around.
Got a little Cinderella team here, huh?
And Roosevelt, no slouch either. Roosevelt had a pretty good team last year. They were 1 shot away from qualifying to the 2A state tournament. They lost to Jordan in a 1-point thriller. Humboldt wearing their black jerseys, Roosevelt wearing their whites. The 2010 Twin Cities Championship begins with Humboldt taking the first possession, but not for long. It's taken by Taisha Wright. Wright, the daughter of Roosevelt head coach Michael Wright, and she hands it off to Shaquila Buller. That's for 3. Too strong for McGuire. Kaylani Edwards, she can't put it down. Bell has it, and she puts it in. Michael Wright told me last night that that's what Roosevelt does best. Their post players, Bell and Edwards, can get second chances and turn them into points.
Well, it's obvious that Roosevelt has the advantage in the post. They got big guys there, and they should be able to capitalize.
But that's where Humboldt can get the edge from long distance as Angelina Hicks gets Humboldt their first basket. It's a 3-2 lead early. This is McGuire again. She couldn't bring it down. Hernandez picked up the rebound, and there's Annessa Hicks. Humboldt fans were chanting MVP Thursday night after they beat Central.
Whoa. Humboldt is real small, so they got to capitalize on their quickness in order to beat the Teddies.
Boulder with the steal. No player on Humboldt's roster is above 5'10", so you're right, they're going to have a huge size disadvantage. They had that against Central, though. Central owned them on the boards, but it came down to free throws. Humboldt made theirs. Central did not. Edwards puts in another layup, and it's 4-3.
One thing I say about basketball on all levels is you got to have a little balance on your attack. You got to have an inside-outside game. If everybody jump a lot of times, you die by the jumping.
And that's what Michael Wright told me. Roosevelt, a balanced team. They like to go in and out. In fact, they like to use McGuire as a decoy sometimes to feed it to the post, and that's why she has so many assists.
Okay. Well, I like the patience that Humboldt is showing thus far.
We're going to have a blocking foul on Taisha Wright.
It's going to be interesting to see how Humboldt is able to get some easy buckets against the immense disadvantage they have on the post players.
One way they can do it is using the speed of Annessa and Angelina Hicks. Big crowd on both sides. I love it. The Rock hands it off to McDonough, and she's open. You can't leave anybody open. Doesn't matter how small they are.
That was good patience by Humboldt. They got the ball. They got a bucket inside.
McDonough goes for the steal, but it goes out of bounds. But that's another way Humboldt will get you. Sometimes when the other team sits back and relaxes, that's when Humboldt will try to beat you. And many times it's worked.
Looks like Humboldt's in the 3-2 zone. 2-3.
It's a little harder to tell from our angle. We're not up in the bleachers, and we don't have a monitor in front of us like we've had before. It's Roosevelt ball. Reason why we're not in the bleachers is, well, look at the crowd.
Yeah, they're in here tonight.
And if with a crowd as big as this, I don't mind getting kicked to the court side. McGuire couldn't handle the pass. It was too high. Here comes Annessa Hicks. And that's that speed we were talking about. Annessa Hicks, she has that fast break speed. She gets Humboldt their largest lead of the game at 3.
Now I like this. They starting off with the pressure, with the full court press right away, so they're showing no fear.
It
They're
works.
going for the kill.
It works, although McDonough couldn't bring the ball down. She gets called for traveling, and McGuire is down.
I don't want to see that this early in the game.
That's Roosevelt's top player.
The leading scorer. Come on, get up. I come to see you play. Shake it off, please.
15-18. She gets up. It looks like she's walking with some assistance, so.
She might have twisted a little bit. If they got a good trainer, they can put some tape on her and have her ready in a couple of minutes.
I know that ACL is a weakness for a lot of female basketball players, and when you see a player down like that, as a fan, you're always wondering, is it that ACL or is it going to be serious? It looks like if she got up and she was able to walk. Didn't put a lot of weight on it, but I think she'll be back.
There's a little sense for concern there, but let's hope that she's young and she can bounce back in a few minutes.
But this is a chance for Humboldt to take advantage because that's Roosevelt's top player, Shaquille Bowler. She's only played 5 games. She's not yet at 100%. LaRock, no good. And a rebound scramble. Bell picks it up. In the game for Roosevelt is Tanika Cage. She's a 5'8" freshman forward.
These ladies are going at each other. They are not playing soft. I love the aggressiveness.
Bell going to the line. Well, we mentioned in the open, these are up-tempo teams. They're not going to hold anything back. These two teams are trying, they want to prove that they deserve a Twin Cities championship, or that they deserve to get here, because Roosevelt derailed South. South has gone here for the last 5 years. In fact, the last 5 years it was Central and South. And Central, they've been to the Twin Cities game every year since 2003.
Whoa.
So you can imagine that these schools have been waiting to finally dethrone the powers that be and show that they can play too. Bell's 1 of 2 from the line.
Yeah, because back when I was playing basketball, it was always Minneapolis North against St. Paul Central. So they have had a dynasty for many years.
It was that way for a few years when Faith Johnson-Patterson was the head coach at North. LaRock with a player in her face, can't bring it down. Hernandez saves it. Hicks for 3. No good.
I like the box out. Oh, that's a foul. I think the referee missed that one. Ms. Hicks was kicked out of bounds right there.
The referee ruled that Annessa Hicks was, or Angelina Hicks stepped on the line. And I think Roosevelt, they got lucky there, because that could have been a foul. We do see McGuire back in the game, and so that's a good sign. Here she comes to the baseline.
Right,
she's headed to the line.
It's a strong move, but she did come up limping, so there's still a cause for concern with me.
So McGuire will go to the line. We don't have her free throw numbers, but we can tell you she's averaging 16.2 points per game and just over 10 rebounds a game. She's headed to the University of Miami, but there's a great story behind her that I can identify with in particular. Last week, the Star Tribune wrote a story on McGuire's fight with dyslexia and how that's affected her. And she said sometimes she has a hard time reading vocabulary. She gets words mixed up, but she's battled through it, and she's going to go to Miami. She had a decent ACT score. Great story out of Roosevelt. She's one of two here. It's 7-6 Humboldt.
Whoa, she got some up. McGuire can jump.
And Wright drains the three. Roosevelt takes the lead back. Well, when you lead the team in blocks at 50, I imagine you have some vertical.
So she must be at least 6'1"?
5'10".
5'10", okay.
She's about as tall as I am, but she can jump a lot higher than I could.
So I imagine she'll be playing the three when she goes to the next level.
We have a traveling violation on Humboldt. Well, the next level will be Miami, where she will be a part of the ACC conference. So she'll get to fight Duke and Maryland and North Carolina.
She'll be in my old stomping ground, the ACC.
Yeah, well, she will be.
Great conference to play in.
When you were there, Miami wasn't a member of the ACC. I believe they were still with the SEC. McGuire with the dish to Bell, and that's what we were talking about in the open. McGuire, she has so many assists because Roosevelt's post players are stepping up.
Right, but she created that. She did penetration. She had the two defenders come to her, and then she saw her open teammates. So she created that play. Great assist.
Angelina can't get the response. We have Santana Castillo and Alexis Clark in the game for Humboldt. And we have a foul. It's going to go against Humboldt before the shot.
Nice penetration. I just hope Roosevelt doesn't get too hung up on trying to get the ball to the cup for the easy buckets, and then forget about taking the mid-range jump shot.
Well, look at that, Kaylani Edwards. She was left alone. You can't do that because she'll put those in 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, she's a force down low. Thus far, she's doing great.
Well, your old buddy Tony Gear predicted that this would be a 17-point win for Roosevelt, so we'll see how that pans out. Hicks for 3. Bullseye.
Oh, Hicks got something to say about that.
Both Annessa and Angelina have 3-point range, and that's what helped Humboldt win the St. Paul City Conference. Santana Castillo gets the deflection.
A lot of intensity.
It's allowed. Annessa Hicks through the baseline, but she had 2 taller players in her face. And here comes Wright. She can feed to Bowler, but she misses her target, and Bowler can't save it in time.
She held it just a little bit too long, but she, you would like, as a coach and a player, you like to get the ball a little earlier for more than one reason. One, it creates space with your defense, and 2, they have an opportunity to get the ball back for their own layup.
We were talking about first. This is Humboldt's first appearance in the Twin Cities game. Both teams, as we have a 3-pointer from Angelina going too strong, but Alexis Clark is blocked by McGuire. There's that vertical we were talking about. It will stay Humboldt ball. But I don't know when the last time this has happened where 2 Twin Cities representatives were commanded by 2 first-year coaches. Vanderhyde in his first year for Humboldt, Michael Wright in his first year for Roosevelt. They were both assistants last year for their respective head coaches, Mario Sierra at Humboldt and Tim Williams at Roosevelt, before he took the junior coaching job down in Florida. Hicks for 3. That was a little off balance, and Edwards brings down the board.
Yeah, so both these coaches learned from their predecessors, and now they're adding their own twist to it, and it's been working for them.
Humboldt adding more discipline to their style of play. Roosevelt going with a more balanced attack. Jasmine Bell, she is on fire from the post, and Chris Vanderhyde will call timeout. Humboldt down by 5, 15-10 with 11:05 to go in the first half. Now I want to ask you something. Do you remember what you were doing in 1992?
Whoa, you're going way back. Yes, I remember. Okay.
This will make sense in a minute. So what were you doing back then?
Back in 1992, I think I was playing a little CBA ball before I went to go back and play over in Europe.
Well, 1992 was the last time Minneapolis Roosevelt got to the Twin Cities game. And you wanted some perspective, 1992, that's when Bill Clinton won his first presidential election over George H.W. Bush on the infamous Read My Lips line. There was the Dream Team of 1992 in the Olympics, where they creamed everybody in the field. Johnny Carson retired from The Tonight Show.
It's been that long, huh?
Jay Leno replaced him. The Chicago Bulls won their second NBA title. They're second of 6 so far in team history. And there's a couple Minnesota ties, and I'll get to that in our next timeout.
Boy, it hurts to talk about the past. That means life is going by real fast. Roosevelt's in the 2-3 zone now.
Well, you're speaking about the past. In 1992, when Roosevelt last got here, I've got a feeling Tanika Cage and maybe some of the other players weren't even born yet. Hicks for 3.
Nice crossover.
Not bringing down those 3-pointers, though. And Alexis Clark finds Castillo, who's going to the line.
Well, you're right. Humboldt has a lot of heart because they're in the paint, scrapping like with the big person, with the big girls, like they're equal in size. So I guess their heart is compensating for their lack of height.
Santana Castillo at the line. Castillo. I don't have any free throws listed under her name, but she misses her first.
Santilla's she's been their biggest rebounder so far. She's been in the paint on 3 or 4 occasions doing some good scrappy work in there.
Castillo, one of 2 freshmen on the Humboldt roster, the other one Lachey Holtz.
She's only a freshman. She has a very, very bright upside.
Well, Humboldt, they're only losing 1 big senior. I think the others that are listed, I have not seen them dress up all year. That big senior, of course, is Annessa Hicks. Bell, she was looking for her feet inside, but the pass is deflected and stolen by Annessa Hicks. Right-handed layup, yes.
Nice move.
McGuire can't block everything.
She is quick. She went right at it. They said how the play gets a shot blocker to go right at him. And that's what she did. She went right at him.
We have a traveling violation against Roosevelt, so Humboldt will have a chance to tie the game again. They have led. Got out to a 4-point lead early, but still an eternity left. That's Larock for 3. Humboldt not draining their threes yet. Bowler with the rebound. Roosevelt with numbers. Bell draws the foul, and she'll go to the line.
What Humboldt needs to do is to take their time and figure out a way to penetrate that zone and get another easy layup. And then it'll give them a little more confidence to hit some of those threes they're taking.
Now this will be an interesting dichotomy throughout the game as Bell can't make her first, is how you handle this game, because this is not a playoff game. This is an extra game for both these teams. They start sections next week. Now I talked to both coaches as Bell makes her second. They said they're both going to go at it. They both want this for bragging rights to represent their teams before playoffs start, but
City, yeah.
Sections, of course, it's 1 loss, you're out. This one, you lose, not so big a deal.
Oh, but the Twin City game is very important here. The bragging rights between Minneapolis and St. Paul, that needs to be established for the summer. We need to keep that going.
Kickball for Bowler, so it will stay the Humboldt side as Leticia Hernandez goes back in, replacing Clark. And most people I talk to say, they want to win this Twin Cities game. They want to represent their city. But it is that interesting dichotomy. How aggressive do you go at it, knowing the playoffs start next week, and you don't want to lose your top players to an injury over a game that will have no implications in terms of seeding or rankings.
No, it's just that bragging right. That's very important. And like back in the days when we used to play,
for 3.
You play hard and fight for bragging rights, even in the park. And, you used to play a lot of pickup ball in the parks, in the park board system, but this is a little more high profile, so this is very important for them.
Jump ball, position arrow, a point to Roosevelt, so that was just as good as a turnover. And give credit to Roosevelt. That's Annessa Hicks, only 5'2". That's one of her weaknesses, is going up against those bigger players, and she tends to struggle when she has players in her face.
Yeah. And not only that, it gets the teams ready for the tournament by playing in a high-intensity game like this for bragging rights.
Teresa Larock, it's blocked by McGuire. That's 2 blocks for Suriya.
This is incredible, the kind of ups this young lady has.
And she feeds to Edwards, who's going to the line. I didn't see that coming, and that's how surprising that was.
Like she took off from the bottom of the circle there.
Don't tell McGuire this is a meaningless game. It might be in terms of the record book, but she wants to be a Twin Cities champion. The foul is on McDonough, her second personal.
Goes to show you within the urban community, the Twin Cities game is very important.
Much like the Viking-Packers rivalry in the NFL and Minnesota-Wisconsin in the college. But going back to Humboldt a bit, and again, Annessa and other players struggled against bigs, and Highland Park had one in Kianda Nix, and she dominated the paint. Central, they had Sade Chapman, who's a freshman, do the same thing. And so Humboldt, they're used to this, but I talked with the staff. The thing with Humboldt is they found a way to play with a small lineup all year.
Right. And that's evident with the record that they have right now.
But like you said, though, they'll live by the jumper or die by the jumper. They're not draining the threes right now, and that's allowing Roosevelt to pull away. Bell, inside, too strong, and we're going the other way. It's a over-the-back call against Roosevelt.
Even if a smaller girl would have done that, they probably wouldn't have called a foul, but I don't know why, but for some reason the referees always pick on us bigs. Give us the little tic-tac fouls, but let the little people foul us as hard as they can.
Is that why you left the pro league after a few seasons? Or Angelina Hicks can't drain the three. Getting sick of the refs picking on you? No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
I wish it would have been that easy. She is.
That's for three, right. She can't get them to fall. She'll go inside. Hands it off to Bell. Back door, got it.
Good ball move.
The post player.
Over there, they share the ball well.
LaRock, that's a deep three. Holy cow!
Put him right back in.
You don't see that too often, but again, Humboldt known for their three-point range. Deep. Here comes McGuire, right drive. She can't get it from the right baseline, and it's picked up by LaRock. Angelina has numbers, she has the speed, she'll go for it. And she'll get the layup. I think she was looking for a foul, but she'll take the 2 points.
Well, this is what Humboldt got to do. They got to get their points in the open court and figure out a way to get some easy buckets in against the zone. But whether it be fast break or penetrating against the zone, as long as they get a layup, it'll make it a lot easier to make those threes.
They've got to find a way to stop Bell. She is doing everything she wants to inside.
Well,
Bell getting the last layup for Roosevelt to make it a 4-point lead again. 6.5 to go in the first. Annessa for three. Short. Rebound. It will go to the Teddies.
Good call by the referee.
And you could see it from here, from our angle. You saw McGuire ducking to make sure that ball didn't touch her before it went out of bounds. So she has great IQ.
Now you see them talking about the bigs. Now that the little guard reached over Vanessa and did not call a foul, but on the other end, she reached over, the big reached over little and they called a foul. That's my point.
Perception, I've noticed, can have an influence on how calls are made. Minnesota, some folks say is McGuire, pump fakes, goes inside, feeds again. This time it was to Cage, but she gets broken up. I was going to say, a lot of folks thought, as Angelina Hicks drives, but she's short. A lot of folks thought Kiara Buford didn't get as many calls on her as she should have in terms of fouls because she's so small. The refs think she just bounces off everybody, but she's pretty strong. But that's one of her goals next season is to get bigger so she can be more of a presence inside and maybe get some more fouls called her way. You're going to ask me something, though.
Yeah, I was wondering about McGuire. Does she have a mid-range jump shot?
She does. I mean, McGuire, she has a mid-range jump shot. She has that distance, but she's more of an inside player.
Okay, because I've noticed that she's passed up at least 3 open jump shots to try to penetrate. And I'm looking forward to her taking some of them. Looking forward to see her jump shot because it looks like she'd have the ability to do it if she just do it.
That's LaRock for three. Can't bring it down this time. And it's rebounded by, well, it goes to Castillo, but she can't clean it up either.
A lot of times players think they got to drive all the time. They don't.
Well, it's going to say
you can open it up. If you take the mid-range jump shot, open it up for your bigs to get more rebounds.
to go off your point about McGuire, though, I think the reason why you're not seeing her is Bell goes inside again, count it! And that's actually the textbook example of why you're not seeing McGuire take those shots, because those post players are doing so well. She knows she can just go inside, feed to them, get an assist, which in basketball, assists are just as good as points, even though they're not counted that way.
Okay, so you're telling me she's an ultimate team player. She's not selfish.
Bell cannot complete the three-point play, but McGuire gets the rebound.
And that was a foul.
Give credit for her effort just to try to make something out of nothing. Clark, too strong. Rebound, Cage. Well, McGuire, 196 assists on the season coming into today. She's averaging over 8 a game.
She's the leading assist player.
And Bell with the kiss off the glass. We've got another timeout for Humboldt with 4:36 to go in the first half. And we've been talking about Roosevelt like they've been dominating this game, but it's still not over. It's either team's game.
It's either team's game, but if they can't figure out some kind of way to slow down those bigs, it's going to be all uphill from them.
So let's go back to the time machine quickly. 1992, as we mentioned earlier, Johnny Carson retired. Jay Leno took over in his first stint on the Tonight Show. Johnny Carson, a legend in late night. Bill Clinton winning his first presidential election over George H.W. Bush after the infamous "Read My Lips" line. In sports, you had the Chicago Bulls winning their second of 3 titles over the Portland Trail Blazers. The Washington Redskins beat the New York Giants in the first and only Super Bowl to be held here. It was 1992 when the Super Bowl was held in the Metrodome, and the Redskins beat the Bills, not the Giants. I think I said the Giants, but it was the Bills who lost their second of what would be 4 straight losses in the big game. And the other big Minneapolis sporting event came a few months later with the 1992 Final Four, the first of 2 Final Fours to be held at the Metrodome. Duke beat Michigan in that game by 20 to clinch back-to-back NCAA Division I championships.
Well, aren't you just a walking encyclopedia?
I did a little research beforehand.
That's good. Now let's see if South can come back. They got to do something to stop this storm. I mean, because the dam seems like it's been open, and if they don't do something to stop it, it's going to flood.
And before you ask me, do I have any anecdotes for Humboldt in terms of history, I do not.
Good move. It's funny how Humboldt, of course, quite naturally, Humboldt would have to run the zone, play the zone in order to contain the bigs. But then you turn around and then Roosevelt has to play the zone to control the small.
LaRock for 3, yes! And that's why Humboldt is staying in this game.
They showed a lot of patience on that last possession.
That's Samira Saeed who gets on the board, and she'll be in the newspaper, and she'll go down as scoring in their only Twin Cities appearance. She's a senior, so she's done after this. Hernandez can't get the layup. There's a fight for the ball. It's still live, and it's picked up by Hicks with the mid-range swish.
Hicks has no fear. And did you hear the string music? I heard it.
I did too. McDonough with the steal. Team's defensive leader.
Now that's what South has to do. They came quicker on the double.
Angelina stops, pops, and gets the mid-range J.
South came quick. Humboldt came quicker on the double when the ball came into low post, and that disrupted Roosevelt's momentum right there. It happened again right there.
It's a 1-possession game for Humboldt, and the ball will go Roosevelt's direction. But Humboldt, that never quit mentality. And the reason why I asked me, can you research anything for Humboldt? I cannot, because I've never been in the Twin Cities Championship, so I can't tell you what happened the last time they were here. A few years from now, I'll be able to.
Humboldt's a Cinderella team.
A few years from now, I'll be able to tell you what happened in 2010, but it might be a little early to do some research. Samira Saeed, 2 consecutive buckets for her. She has 4 points. Roosevelt up by 5 again. LaRocque for 3. Not this time. Rebound goes to McGuire. McGuire with numbers. Feeds to Bell, but she's too strong. Hicks picks up the board. We have a blocking foul on Roosevelt. It will go against McGuire.
Seems like every time Humboldt comes down here and rushes up the 3 after one pass, they miss. But when they take their time and move it 5 or 6 times, they have a lot more success.
That's McGuire's first. I'd like to remind you that coming up at halftime, I believe we'll have an interview with the Humboldt principal, Mike Sodomka, to talk about the significance of Humboldt winning their first girls basketball conference championship, and of course we'll have our first half stats and analysis. Cheerleaders, you saw them retreating. It's like, hey, we're not playing.
Now, does Humboldt, are their cheerleaders here as well, or?
I haven't seen any in the couple of games I've been here, but the crowd is more than made up for that.
Yeah.
And Roosevelt, you know, they've been strong. Maybe not quite the Cinderella status that Humboldt has, but, you know, they're that sentimental favorite. McGuire battling dyslexia. Cook, that's for 3. No good. Corinne Cook in the game. But Bell picks it up and cleans it up.
I have to look into that. What are some of the things that dyslexia?
Well, dyslexia affects your ability to read language. You know, sometimes you read things a little backwards. Hernandez draws the foul. So in the Star Tribune article on McGuire's dyslexia, they talked about how sometimes she mixes up words that she reads.
Okay. So they just gave her special classes, special teachers to help with her, assist her with her educational needs here at Roosevelt to get over her dyslexia.
Yes, Leticia Hernandez gets the kiss off the glass. Well, the thing with McGuire, the big thing that changed her stance towards education was she started telling people more about it so that she could get the assistance she needed.
Oh, great. So,
Hernandez misses. LaRocque can't put it down. Still fighting. Good. I'm loving this. Look at how aggressive this is.
Got that ball.
Seems like anytime Humboldt gets an offensive rebound, it's amazing because they're so small. LaRocque, no good.
They're fighting. They're getting good position. So McGuire can be a role model for a lot of other people, or a spokesperson for a lot of other people with dyslexia, and give them the hope and give them encouragement to speak up about their deficiency as opposed to hiding it.
Right, and she's not alone in terms of dyslexics out there. It's McGuire with the left-handed layup.
Ooh, that's nice, dude.
Great drive on the baseline.
Yeah, that takes a lot of courage to divide that. Good hustle.
Cage with the steal, or that's Saeed with the steal. I was going to say, here's a 6 degrees. There's a connection for you. Jay Leno himself is a dyslexic. Okay. Of course, we talked about him. He was the man who took over when Johnny Carson retired the same year Roosevelt last won the Minneapolis City Conference, so maybe it was destiny. Corinne Cook can't get the jumper, and it's picked up by Hicks. Humboldt can hold for the final shot if they wish. 20 seconds. Hicks going to the line.
Those are plays to go up there against the trees. I tell you, Hicks has no fear.
You can't have fear. I mean, her size at 5'2", you know, she's going to have some struggles up against those bigger players when she goes on. She's getting some offers at Division II and Division I junior college, so this is something she'll just have to deal with, and she's done quite well.
She will be a tremendous asset to whatever program she goes to next year.
The Hicks sisters, all of them, Ayana had some big numbers, Angelina's doing well, but Annessa in particular really shined, and it was the Hicks family that really turned this Humboldt program around and helped them win this conference title when they were a laughingstock for years. Hicks makes both free throws. It's a 6-point game. Roosevelt can't hold for the final shot. The foul's on McGuire. That's her third, so she's going to have to be careful in the second half. She only has 2 more to play with. McDonough with the steal. Here's an open Angelina.
Good hustle by Humboldt.
Roosevelt, will they get a shot off in time? No! So Humboldt will end the first half with the momentum. And Annessa makes a shot. It won't count, but she goes, oh, what the heck. So Roosevelt goes into the locker room with a 4-point lead, but Humboldt will have the momentum on their side. It's 33-29, so coming up at halftime, we will do an interview with Mike Sodomka and our first half analysis.
the Minnesota Blizzards of the American Basketball Association, and by continuing contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.
Mike Peden here with the Humboldt principal, Mike Sodomka. And I know, Mike, this was a big deal for you, winning that first girls basketball conference championship in school history. And so what was the emotions, what were the mindset going on yesterday and Thursday night?
It was very exciting. I mean, the kids, being the smallest school in St. Paul, and to really have this first time in we're really starting a new tradition. The kids were real pumped up. And then Friday morning after our win, we had a nice assembly to get everyone pumped up for today's game. It was very exciting to have this new tradition in St. Paul.
Your thoughts so far on the Twin Cities championship game, how Humboldt's doing? Because they're holding up pretty well against a bigger Roosevelt team.
Yeah, they certainly have the height advantage on us, but we certainly have the speed and the strength, and we're gonna pull it out in the second half. I'm very confident.
So what does this mean for Humboldt? Because for years they were the laughingstock of the St. Paul City Conference. Now they have 4 winning seasons in the last 5 years, and the conference championship is icing. So what does that mean for the Humboldt program?
We're continuing our traditions and moving forward. We are heading in the right direction. We're going to continue to build on our program and continue to grow. I mean, look at where we're going, and where we've been to where we're going. We're certainly on the right trajectory path. And the students that we have coming in for next year, our next recruiting class, is really looking good. We're going to have a promising season next year too.
Ben, do you have any thoughts you want to add?
Yeah, Mike, I just want to congratulate you for coming back out of the, I don't know where you came from, but coming back. Making a comeback. Yep. Just a quick question. What did you guys do in the off season to bring you guys to this stage right now? What did you do to prepare yourself?
Well, you'd want to talk to the coach first of all, but really a lot of off-season training with the girls and building relationships with the girls, getting out, reaching in, recruiting out into our community, and practice. I mean, and reaching out into our community and get more of the West Side back on into Humboldt and on our team. And that is really, we have some of the strongest players here on the West Side. So, yes.
And that's something interesting. Is that Steve was telling me that McGuire had dyslexia, huh? So what did you guys dyslexia?
That's Roosevelt side.
Roosevelt side. Okay, yep. I'll leave that one alone then. But anyway, you got a good crowd here. Yeah, you had a good crowd here, and I just want to congratulate you on your success here and keep it up.
Thank you very much. Okay. I appreciate this.
Yeah, good luck. Who knows? Maybe you'll win your first Twin Cities appearance in school history, and maybe we'll see you in the state tournament too.
Absolutely. This is a nice tradition. Thank you.
All right.
Mike Sodomka, the head coach, or not the head coach, the principal of Humboldt.
The Minnesota Blizzards of the American Basketball Association, and by continuing contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome back to high school girls basketball, being presented by Buster Media Group. I'm Mike Peden here with Ben Coleman. This is the 2010 Twin Cities Girls Basketball Championship featuring Minneapolis Roosevelt and the Humboldt Hawks. In-game box score for you for Roosevelt, Jasmine Bell, 18 points. That's more than half of Roosevelt's total. Edwards is next with 5, Samira Saeed has 4, and Suriya McGuire and Taisha Wright, 2 of the captains and 2 of the leading scorers on the team, both only have 3 points apiece. But again, McGuire getting a lot of assists, which are just as good as points, even though it doesn't go officially as down as points on the stat sheet. For Humboldt, Annessa Hicks has 11, her sister Angelina has 8, Teresa LaRock has 6, 2 3-pointers, and Brianna McDonough has 2. And the key for Humboldt, and I've noticed this throughout the games that I've seen involving Humboldt, just having some difficulties getting those second chances to fall, and really struggling when they go up against big players because most other teams are bigger than they are.
Right. They're making it up with their hustle and their tenacity. And then you can see why Teddy's are their top scorers ain't scoring a lot, because as you said, they're giving a lot to the post players, and they're sharing the ball well. Whoever's open is getting it.
Humboldt wearing black, Roosevelt wearing white. Roosevelt up by 4, 33-29, but Humboldt scored the last 2 baskets to get some rhythm on their side to end that first half. Annessa Hicks looking to continue that, too strong. And it's picked up by Taisha Wright. Now, if you're wondering why you haven't heard much from Shaquila Bowler as McGuire goes to right. Bowler's been in the game. She takes her first shot, drains the long-range jumper. She gets her first basket. But the reason why you haven't heard much from McGuire, Coach Michael Wright told me they're working to get her back to 100%, hopefully before the playoffs.
Okay. And she had which injury now?
She's had some knee problems over the last couple of years. She sat out half of last year for Roosevelt with an ACL injury she suffered in the summer playing AAU ball, and she had more problems this year And a lot of fans believe that was one factor that led to Minnesota withdrawing their scholarship offer for Bowler. Here she comes with the steal, making her case late. Bowler will be going to Northern Arizona, D1 mid-major. McGuire stops, pops, too strong. Rebound and the putback by Edwards with her 7th point of the game.
Edwards owns the board.
She owns the boards, but Bell's been doing most of the dirty work so far. Annessa, again, Humboldt, or the Roosevelt wants to make sure they know where Annessa is at all times because she is the most damaging player they have. McDonough can't get the shot off, and give credit to Edwards. We have a jump ball, possession arrow will favor the Teddies. Give credit to Edwards for getting in McDonough's face.
Yes. Hasn't been a lot of points scored, but it seems like the intensity is starting to pick up again. They picked up right where they left off. A lot of times there's a lull when the game stops and starts. There's no lull in this team, these two teams.
Now, we spoke with Coach Mike Sodomka about the significance of Humboldt's first conference championship as Wright drains the three. Roosevelt.
They're being patient and working that zone.
And Humboldt will call timeout. So while we have that timeout, I was going to mention Chris Vanderhyde had some comments too to mention about Humboldt and their first conference win. Vanderhyde, a teacher for 4 years, and he said this conference championship, along with Humboldt's success in the last few years, conflicts with this outside perception, putting Humboldt on the map for something positive. Humboldt having some struggles the last couple of years. They're going through restructuring, and they've often had enrollment problems where they can't get enough to fill their maximum capacity.
So he says he's reaching out more to the community, and that's what's built them up to where they are today.
Right.
They're going out there doing some community reach out work for the kids.
As Vanderhyde put it, the West Side has been waiting for something like this for a long time, and they finally got it. Their soccer team did win the conference championship a few years ago, in 2007 specifically, although soccer doesn't quite have the following basketball does. So for a basketball conference title, that's something that people are going to be sharing when they go to Boca Chica's Taco House or the restaurant. LaRock, deep three, no good.
Yeah, Humboldt got to get back in the rhythm. They got to get some. They got to go back to pressing and get a couple of easy layups, as well as they got to figure out how to penetrate against this zone and get a couple of easy buckets. They got to get their rhythm back.
Well, the thing for Roosevelt, they've shut down Humboldt's other options so far because, as Bell, too short, gets her own rebound, kicks out to Wright for three. Yes!
Wright is feeling it.
14-point advantage for Roosevelt, their largest lead of the game.
Roosevelt showing a lot of patience. I like that.
To finish up with Annessa, when she got covered against Central and against Humboldt, that opened up Angelina Hicks and Teresa LaRock, and Roosevelt doing a good job shutting those outside options down. Jump ball. Humboldt will keep possession this time.
I think a lot of that banging that's going on down low is starting to take its toll on Humboldt's players. Big players are banging down there. And it's just like in football. Bang enough, you're going to figure out your opponent's weakness.
Angelina kicks out to LaRock. Annessa wanted to go inside. I thought she was open for a second. Angelina stops, pops, can't get the basket. Lachey hold with the cleanup, and that was one thing she had against Highlanders. She played a big role in that game, getting a lot of cleanups. And that game last week that set up the showdown on Thursday. McGuire stops, pops. That was a tough shot.
Good.
And we've got a foul. It will go against Roosevelt, our first foul of the second half.
The initial move was nice that McGuire did. She needs to just go and take the shots. She don't have to get fancy when she's that close to the rim. Let's get to the next level. She's gonna have to take those mid-range shots.
Holt inside again. There's a traveling violation. Jumped up, forgot to dribble. She's only a freshman though. She'll learn with time.
I'd like to see a jump shot right there. She's wide open.
Right. That's going to be a traveling call the other way, so they cancel each other out. Frequent flyer miles starting to pile up. It was the elephant step.
A little bit too anxious.
I'm sure that never happened to you.
No, I never.
I'm sure you never got called for traveling.
Never. The reason why I didn't get called for travel, I never dribbled. Here we go.
Angelina, player in her face. She draws the foul against Edwards. That last foul against Roosevelt was Bell's first. And again, Roosevelt has to be careful. Edwards is sitting with 3 fouls. McGuire sitting with 3 fouls. And both these teams, they want to win this Twin Cities game. Wasn't like last year where Central and South, and that was a 3-point shootout show for Taylor Hill as Angelina Hicks misses her first free throw. But if you talk to fans from last year's Twin Cities game, you got the sense that they treated it like an exhibition game and not so much for bragging rights because they had played each other for so long, they were used to it. But not these two teams. They're treating this like a playoff game as Angelina Hicks missed both free throws, but Humboldt will keep possession.
Well, the Twin Cities, they need to, you got to have those park board and AAU bragging rights for the summer. There's always competition between Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Angelina Hicks, she threw into traffic, and Kaylani Edwards is there to steal it. Here comes Wright, out to McGuire, and one!
Nice play.
McGuire likes to go inside to force the defense to collapse on her position. And the cheerleaders like that play. The foul is against McDonough, her 3rd personal. Fouling starting to become an issue now. McGuire drains the free throw, and so she has already matched her first half point total, which was 3. So it's interesting because you look at McGuire, Wright, and Edwards isn't doing too bad either on scoring. They put up very few points in that first half.
Right.
Bell was doing most of the work inside.
Yeah, I think they went to their strength, and that was getting the ball down low to the post, and it's been successful for them.
Humboldt throws it away.
Yeah, Humboldt hasn't found their rhythm yet. And I know it could be from fatigue, but I think it's because of all the banging they've been doing in the first half, and I think it's just starting to show its toll on them. But they still have a chance to get their second win, and we'll see how they go from there.
Still plenty of time, but not the end of the world if you drop this game. McGuire looking for Bertain inside. Brianna McAllis-Bertain, 6'4" freshman post, and you look at her, and I know I wouldn't want to go up against her.
No.
Got that big presence inside. I think she watched some of your footage.
It's good. It's good the coach got her in the game earlier in this half to get her experience for next year.
Wright can't get the bank. Instead, Bowler takes the 3, no good. And we have another foul against Roosevelt. They've been getting called for a few over the backs. Again, this game, no implications in the playoffs, but there's a chance that you could see both these teams in the state tournament in a few weeks. Humboldt in Class 1A, Roosevelt in Class 2A. Roosevelt defeated Humboldt in section play last year. And of course, Roosevelt lost to Jordan in a 1-point contest where Shaquilla Bowler and Brittany Chambers were going toe-to-toe. Angelina Hicks can't get the bounce, and it's rebounded by McGuire. She goes back out. Roosevelt will reset. Open Bowler. Bullseye.
Bowler has no fear either. She's going right at him. She's hit 3 nice threes this half.
Bowler with 5 points for the Teddies. And they'll need her.
5 points.
Just 5.
I saw her hit 3 jumpers this half.
This is unofficial. I don't have a scorebook in front of me.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, she had a quiet first half. We didn't call her name once.
Okay.
This is Holt inside. She'll go to the line. 11:37 to go. Humboldt will need to get a run together here to come back and try to win this game.
Yeah, Humboldt has not found herself yet this half. They're playing with no sense of urgency.
Holt makes her first. Lachey Holt, 5'10", freshman center. And again, Humboldt, no player above 5'10" in their lineup. And that's really going to be, I think, the key to get Humboldt to that next level in Class 1A, wherever they end up going, is getting a big player, you know, someone above 6 feet to handle the inside game.
So I'm trying to figure out here in the Twin City game, why is a Class 1A team playing a Class 2A team?
Well,
how does that break down?
Well, this is a non-playoff game.
Understand that part.
Well, these are the two conference champions, and so regardless of class, it's the conference champions
in the cities.
In the city that plays each other. So like Northwind for years, but they were a Class 3A school, going up against Cretin-Durham Hall and St. Paul Central, who were 4A schools. Brianna McCallum-Bertain gets her first basket, and so she'll get on the newspaper tonight. Because inside,
they're both city conference teams.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
We have a foul going up against Roosevelt. Roosevelt with one foul left to give now. It goes against Wright. Her second. I haven't seen a lot of Edwards, and you're right. Perhaps Michael Wright's looking to see what Bertain can bring to the lineup.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to get her some experience for next year or the tournament.
Well, you're right, because this is the last chance to do that. Hicks, top of the key, little to the left. Rebound Holt, double team. Loses the ball to Roosevelt. McGuire picks it up, but she won't have that fast break look. And she backs off, and that's senior leadership right there.
I still would love to see her stop and pop. She's wide open. See, sometimes you can be a little bit too unselfish.
Annessa Hicks makes them pay for it, but Humboldt down by 17.
And it's not even being selfish. It's just part of the game. If you're open, you're supposed to shoot the ball.
Should tell that to the Minnesota women's roster.
McGuire,
there you go. She created some space that one. She likes to drive in the baseline.
Yeah, the Gophers need a little help this year, don't they?
Oh, they need a lot of help, I think. McDonough kicks out for three. Yes, bullseye for Angelina Hicks. Still a 16-point deficit, though.
They could take a couple of players from this team, from these two teams, and help bolster their roster.
Well, Bowler was originally going to go to Minnesota, but then the Gophers withdrew that scholarship offer. I know they took a look at McGuire, decided not to go with her. Bell inside, too strong. Bertain can't bring it down. Now we have another foul on Roosevelt. That is important because that is their last foul to give. Humboldt will be in the bonus for the remainder of this game.
Roosevelt brought the cheerleaders, the drums, and the fans. They're ready for this one. I think that's the difference of the game. Humboldt just forgot their cheerleaders.
Clark, she forced it, and it's picked up by Bell. Bell hasn't had much of a second half after an 18-point first half, but doesn't really need to, at least not so far. Bowler out to Bertain.
Good play.
And when you're open, a post player will drain those layups.
Roosevelt is so unselfish. I love it.
That's Annessa Hicks with Bertain in her face. She can't bring it down. Hernandez out to Angelina. Bullseye! Humboldt will take another timeout because they're still down by 15, 55-40. And you were talking about Minnesota.
Michael Wright has done a great job with this team. Him and his coach has done a great job. His team is showing a lot of poise, a lot of unselfish plays. It's a complete team. The coaches are great. He's doing a great job for them.
And you're looking at this roster, and you've got a feeling this is Roosevelt's best shot to make the state tournament, at least for the next few years. So I was going to say about Minnesota, down in last place in the Big Ten Conference right now, but in women's basketball, and a lot of folks are thinking next year will determine how long Pam Borton sticks around, because if they struggle again, the athletic director, Joel Maturi's getting a little frustrated. They might be looking for a new coach.
Yeah, well, Pam started off really hot, and then it seemed like she was going after more of our inner city kids here from the Twin Cities as well as from more of our Minnesota kids. And I don't know if she's veered away from that or didn't think the talent level was up to par. I don't understand why she took such a drop this year.
Her critics often cite Borton's Final Four appearance as the result of Whalen and McCarville on her team, basically saying she had two special players and she wasn't able to replicate that success. But those players were not recruited under Borton. They were recruited under the old coach, Brenda Oldfield. And so you have that camp that believes that Borton's Final Four is a little misleading because she didn't have Whalen and McCarville on her team.
Okay.
When she inherited them from Oldfield. McGuire drives again. Not this time. And Holt is there, but she throws it away. Michael Wright picks it up. I think he's a little old to be playing at this level.
Humboldt still has a lot of fight left in him. Just gotta get the ball. Just gotta get the ball to bounce the right way now.
Again, it's that never quit mentality for Humboldt that has gotten them these wins. They're about the same as they were last year in Roosevelt. In fact, they were exactly at 17-9 this point last year as they were this year, but the big difference is Minneapolis South wasn't so strong. Bell hands it off to Bowler. Roosevelt up by 15. Wright stops, pops, yes!
I tell you, Wright is a special player. She's a good floor leader too here for. What is she averaging?
Annessa Hicks with a huge right-handed lob. I thought that was going to go over the rim, but she got the bank, and we're going to have a foul on Humboldt. Humboldt needs stops, though. They can't trade baskets here. The foul is on Hernandez, her second. 7:57 to go. Bell, mid-range, too strong, rebound, Angelina Hicks. And if you're wondering if the Hicks reign will end at Humboldt, as Annessa drives to the right side again, can't get the bounce. She races in for her own rebound and settles things down.
Whoa.
And here she goes again. This time she feeds to Holt, but Brittain was there for the block, and she'll draw the foul, and it's a shooting foul, so 2 shots here for Holt. Remember, Roosevelt out of fouls to give. For those of you wondering if we're done with Hicks sisters, I spoke with the Humboldt staff, and Benny has 8 of altogether, so there's going to be a few more Hicks girls coming in.
He got his own basketball team.
He really could. In a few years, he could form his own team. Maybe you should talk to him, see if you can get Ayana or Annessa in a few years for a female team for the Blizzards.
Minnesota Blizzard, that's not a bad idea. Need to start planting them seeds now. And he'd have the core players right there to talk to Mr. Hicks.
Ayana, of course, playing D3 basketball at Hamlin. Holt makes 1 of 2, so it's a 14-point deficit. Bowler thought about a 3. Instead, looking to drive. Now she feeds to Wright. Wright to McGuire. Roosevelt calming things down a bit. We have a foul before the shot. It's against Humboldt.
I would just want McGuire just to shoot 1 jump shot for me. I know she got it in there. I know layups are easier than jump shots, but we want to see one.
The foul is on the Rock, her first. I'd like to see McGuire dunk. Wright for 3, too strong.
It looks like she can dunk.
Rebound Bell. Well, they're vertical. She's had a couple blocks already.
Has she dunked before?
I don't know, but we have a timeout for Roosevelt. And that Star Tribune article on McGuire's dyslexia battle. Bowler said she's got a feeling that McGuire will dunk when she goes to Miami.
Okay. Just get her down there, get her in a good weight program. I won't say nothing about the nutritional program, but she probably will have some training table food. And that should enhance her chances. She probably could run some track too, as quick as she is. Let her work on the high jump.
Well, the thing with McGuire as you mentioned, unselfish around the rim, jumps at everything is what Michael Wright told me. Wherever she is, whether it's on offense or on defense, she will jump at everything, and that's why she has so many blocks. Again, that female Super Mario. She just needs Luigi at Miami, and she'll be set. That's Bell. Can't get it. Edwards can't clean it up. Bell picks it up, and she's going to the line. Roosevelt fans getting excited. Bell can't make the first. Bell, we mentioned, averaging 15.4 points per game coming into today. Not quite averaging a double-double. Can't make either free throw. She already eclipsed her scoring average in that first half when she just dominated the paint. Annessa Hicks, I thought she was open for three. She drives inside. She might have been more wise to take the three there. That's one of Hicks' weaknesses. Sometimes she drives and it doesn't always come up clean. They release a little earlier than they should. Bowler works her way through and muffles a basket.
Good move.
So we're seeing a little bit of the Shaquilla Bowler everyone thought we were going to see for many years before she got sidelined with injury problems.
Yeah, nowadays, that with the way the trainers are and the doctors, they got these good rehab problems. She's working hard for a year. She'll probably get back to normalcy.
What was most impressive about that ACL injury last year was the training regimen she did. She was able to get back in after 6 months, when most of the time, as Bell gets the feed from McGuire, and so Bell gets her first basket of the second half, and McGuire picks up another assist. With Bowler's ACL injury, everyone thought she'd have to sit out her entire junior year, but she was able to get back in, and she did really well against that Jordan team with Chambers and Diodol, just not quite enough to get to the state tournament. So she definitely has the talent. She just needs to stay healthy.
You know what I do a lot of basketball training now with kids, and with kids as well as adults, right? What I encourage them to do is to get in that swimming pool at least once or twice a week. We can balance out those muscles and cure those alien muscles as well.
LaRock adds another 3-point total to her bathtub or swimming pool. One of the weirdest analogies I've ever come up with.
There you go. Turn around and shoot that jump shot. In the stall game now.
Well, Hernandez is going to get called for the foul here. Roosevelt, less than 5 to go. Not a surprising move. They've got the game in the bag, so they can stall a little bit here without a shot clock, and they don't want...
Well, if he's going to stall, then let's bring in the reserves. Just forget about it. They'll come in here and continue to work hard.
Well, no, you still want to have McGuire get a jump shot in or two. There's one, and she fakes it in.
Well,
that wasn't just any jump shot. That was a mid-air jump shot. Right. She didn't even land.
that
was a Super Mario jump shot.
That was a highlight shot right there. That can go on the news right there.
And there's McDonough. She gets the tough way up. That last McGuire basket, I swear, we got to find her a red newsman's hat and some overalls and a red long sleeve shirt. We've got a foul. No, it's out of bounds. It will go to Humboldt. But again, Humboldt not able to cut this lead. They've been as close as 14 lately. Annessa Hicks changing that. Now it's a 13-point game. Humboldt in the bonus. They still have one foul to give. But Roosevelt's going to play a stall game here with 4 minutes and 10 seconds. 63-50 is the score if you're just tuning in. Jasmine Bell had a dominating first half, 18 points. Settled down a little bit this half, and we've got another foul. It's on Annessa Hicks. And for Humboldt, what's been their Achilles heel all year, just their lack of size, and it's really hurt them at the post.
Yes, you can see that as evidence.
So I've got to ask you this. We've got one more game left this season before we figure out what we're going to do, and that's going to be the boys Twin Cities game, as McGuire looked like she was going to feed to Bell, but she loses it. It's going to be at Johnson, St. Paul Johnson, likely hosting Minneapolis North. Do you think I'm going to come for that?
Oh, I'd love to see that game. You know I got to go support my alma mater, and I enjoyed watching Johnson play earlier this year, so I'd like to see how this progresses so far this season.
McDonough getting the support for her fans after she gets another right-handed layup. It's an 11-point game now. Humboldt's still not out of it, but they have a lot of work to do.
Jump shot, jump shot.
McGuire feeds to Bell. And Bell, 22 points and another McGuire assist.
She must be working on a triple-double right now. McGuire is doing it all.
I don't know how many rebounds she has. LaRock, air ball, but Hernandez saves it. Annessa for 3. She can't put it down either. And a foul on Humboldt. They're out of fouls to give now. It's going to go against LaRock, and that should seal the victory for the Teddies.
Yeah, if they knock down these free throws, that might be the dagger.
But you mentioned that boys Twin Cities game, Minneapolis North likely will be playing St. Paul Johnson. It's going to be next Saturday, 1:30 at Johnson.
It was a great game.
Johnson, of course, we covered them earlier this season. That #1 team in 3A beating Hopkins. In fact, they still haven't lost a game. St. Paul City Conference didn't give them much of a challenge. As Kaylani Edwards makes her first free throw. That's going to be a great game.
Yeah. I know North is loaded from what I've heard, and they're really up their game as of late. And St. Paul Johnson, I know they've been on a good road, so it's going to be an interesting game.
Well, it used to be that way for North for years. They would usually always be in contention for a state tournament appearance up to the 90s. In the 80s, they had that. Going back in the early 80s.
You can go back to early 70s too. Early 70s too. We always had the potential to go. We always get Twin City games and go a couple of rounds in the state. For some reason, we didn't get lucky until Aluminium squad. No, until Ted Belfieldman squad, who was a junior on my varsity team. My last year playing high school ball. Their team won the state championship the following year.
Then, as you mentioned, Khalid El-Amin winning 2 state titles for Minneapolis North. And then, of course, all the
Belfield won it 1 year.
And then, of course, all the North alum know about his championship with UConn when everybody thought Duke was going to get it.
Right. Yeah, El-Amin played with the heart of a lion in that series as well, in that tournament.
Forever known with the line, we shocked the world. So now, if North goes on, maybe we can bring him out.
Who?
LaRock from the free throw line, no good, and that's been Humboldt's story all day, just not being able to put shots down. Annessa Hicks for 3, no bullseye. It's rebounded by McGuire. She's open. I don't think we'll see a jump shot. We're going to get free throws, though. Foul's going to be on Annessa Hicks. So Roosevelt can notch their first Twin Cities victory, and I believe more than 18 years. That they did not win in '92. But for both these schools, this says a lot about how they've turned these programs around. Roosevelt struggling the last few years, being in North Shadow and then South, and Humboldt turning things around, being in Central Shadow for all these years, but beating teams that they had struggled against in the last few years. Harding, Johnson, Highland, sweeping Central this year, last year's conference champion, and of course the 2-time 4A state champion. So Central will be stronger next year as their young roster gets older. Highland, no slouch either, but for Humboldt, this has to be great.
Yes, this is a good. This is the first stone. This is a good building block for them to build from now. These ladies have no reason to hold their heads down low. They came out here and fought. It was just wasn't meant to be. The odds was too stacked too high against them. With the bigs that Roosevelt have, it's just too hard to overcome that deficit.
Annessa finds an open Hernandez inside. Well, that was Angelina finding Hernandez. So Angelina gets a basket. I talked with Chris Vanderhyde last night, though, and yes, as I'm sure, as Edwards misses that point-blank shot and Bell's going to the line. To him, yes, I'm sure he would have liked Humboldt to get a victory in this game, but to him, any game is a chance to learn. So he's glad that he gets to come out here and play Roosevelt again to see what Humboldt needs to do before they start playing in the 1A playoffs. And they're in the same section as New Life Academy and St. Croix Lutheran. Heritage Christian, I believe. So there's going to be some tough schools in 1A, and Roosevelt will have to deal with the likes of St. Croix Lutheran.
Well, I would encourage all these young ladies to, after this game, to go jump in the swimming pool and soak their egg and bones and get ready for the tournament.
Well, with how hard these teams had to fight, Roosevelt had to beat South. It was at Roosevelt, but they won by 2. to take the conference lead and clinch the conference title, and that they were down by 4 in the final minute of play. So Roosevelt had to sweat it out. Humboldt had to sweat it out against St. Paul Central to get here. It was a close game all night. Neither team led by more than 7. Humboldt finally won by 5, but that was largely because of free throws. And so you're right. These teams, they deserve a swim and maybe a spa treatment.
Yes, they gotta do it. They gotta treat themselves now. I mean, you gotta play hard. I mean, you gotta work hard, but you gotta play hard too. And that would be a good reward for them.
I think you and I deserve one after we've had quite a long season. It's been a long roller coaster season on our end, going through 2 different producers. Edwards makes both free throws. We're gonna have a timeout here for Roosevelt. 2:08 to go. Get those last notes in. But long season, crazy season. We had a few hoops to jump through this morning. I could use a spa treatment, so could the rest of the crew.
Now that you said that, I'm gonna go swimming tomorrow and get in the jacuzzi.
I haven't gone swimming for a while. I think I need to get back in the pool.
Well, I have to get you over the lifetime. I'll get you a pass and you come over and be my guest. So we can get yourself taken care of.
Well, we'll talk more about basketball.
Yeah, now, so I got to start getting ready for the Minnesota Blizzards. I got the season. We want to start the season sometime in November or December.
Now, I know we talked last night, so I want to get this mentioned. So you're looking to get some support. So are you going to be looking at the Roy Wilkins Auditorium? Because that was a
yes,
spot
I
you
think
were
I
thought
need
of.
to call them because I just reminded, when we spoke last night, it reminded me that the previous coach from the from the CBA, ABA teams, he told me that he was going to move to the Roy Wilkins Auditorium. He said that's a great spot, so I need to contact them. I think there's a lot of potential there. And the St. Paul fans are tremendous. I mean, all through our exhibition season, when we played around the city and around the state, we had the most support for our fans in St. Paul. So we're going to explore that opportunity over there, as well as that opportunity at Richard Green Community Center.
Hicks from the corner, bullseye. Hicks with some icing on the cake. Humboldt, this wasn't necessarily a bad game from them, just getting outplayed inside. Yeah. They couldn't stop Bell. And
shoot the jumper.
Come on, McGuire.
Yeah.
This is Ben Coleman here. You don't want to disappoint him.
You got to take it to the next level. Get ready for it.
New player in for Roosevelt. It's Khadijah Young, sophomore guard.
You know, one thing I noticed about Roosevelt's players, even the young ones they're putting in, they have no fear. They're not afraid to shoot. And to me, that's a beautiful thing to see, because even when I had some players working with me with the Blizzard, some of them had to coast and tell them to shoot. These girls just put it up. I love it.
Annessa Hicks with an NBA 3. Figures why not? Or not. McGuire looking for Saeed. Well, Michael is right about one thing. McGuire's very unselfish. I mean, there's been a few times where she's been open, but her instinct is to pass. She has a little bit Brittany McCoy-like mentality, except she's a much better blocker than McCoy is. But I agree with you. I'd like to see one jump shot, three-pointer, something. Backcourt violation. It's something.
Yeah.
I'd like to see her do something.
Do a show complete game. I would love to train her. There's a couple of girls here I need to pull their coattails and see if I get them over to the Lifetime Fitness. And
we're going to pull them for some post-game interviews here, so maybe you can let them know you're going to train. You do some training services here. Hicks. Okay. Well, I thought she was getting hot. Gets a little cool there from the top of the key. And we have to stop and play. Injury timeout. It's Kaylani Edwards. She is having a hard time getting up. And this is the danger of that Twin Cities game. It's more so of an all-star game, because at that point it's just the last time around. But the Twin Cities game, you come out to play, and Edwards.
She's in pain.
Yes, and that's not what you want to see, especially if you're right. You do not want to lose your players before the playoffs.
That's their horse right there.
One of them, Bell's been doing a lot from the post too, even though she's listed as a forward. I swear she's a center. They just listed her as a forward to throw us off.
Yeah.
We got 37 seconds left, and so we have one more game.
With that's a sign right there for the coach to pull all his starters and let the reserves get some time out there.
I thought you wanted to see McGuire get a jump shot.
We saw the jump shot a few minutes ago.
Okay,
so the alley-oop jump shot, so we're content there.
Okay, so you're okay. I just want to be clear on that.
I mean, I'd love to see another one since she's out there, but I saw it. She got the right form.
Well, a long and crazy season will come to an end as we see a couple Johnson players in attendance today. Next week, when St. Paul Johnson hosts the Minneapolis champion in the boys Twin Cities game, and that's going to be a lot of fun too. Johnson with that tremendous team, likely favored to win the 3A state title. I know I would pick them. In fact, I'm kind of sad that they won't be able to play Hopkins again. I think that would be a great game if they were in the same class.
I have to say that the way Hopkins is playing now, they wouldn't beat Hopkins again. I've been watching my nephew playing, and the players around him. They've all come to what they're called. They've all came into their own. I say they won't beat them, but you know anything is possible. That would be an interesting game to see again.
Looks like it's an arm or something. They're working on Edwards, so they're still working on Edwards over there. And then after that, we'll do some state tournament coverage. But then mainly just figuring out where we go from here, looking for perhaps some new sponsors, some new blood. It was a long, crazy season, certainly crazier than I anticipated, but this has been like that every year. Things don't go as scripted, but in the end it works out, and we're glad that we're able to bring you this coverage for all the fans out there who can't watch on cable, whether it's in the metro area in St. Paul, who can watch online, the folks who tune in on TV to see the program. And we see David Mergentow coming in there for Edwards, the Humboldt athletic director, and there's a sign of sportsmanship, just the opposing staff coming in there. And the Humboldt fans even clapping for Edwards. It looks like it's an arm injury.
The arm?
She's holding her elbow, so it's got to be something. I think it has to do with her arm or her elbow. They're holding that left elbow. Could be a sprain, a dislocation.
Oh. I haven't seen the parents run out the stands yet. Is that the parent over there?
I'm sure her parents are here, and they're probably holding their breath. That's the worst sight you want to see as a parent at a high school or at a college game, is to see your kid down on the court and not able to get up.
This is so true.
And Roosevelt not pulling out their starters. And
he's afraid of the quickness of Humboldt. That's
well, 37 seconds left. I don't think they'll score 11 in that much with running time. But I'm surprised by this. He's not pulling out the Roosevelt starters here with 37 seconds left. We do see Saeed in the game, and we do see Khadijah Young and Corinne Cook. So she's keeping in Bowler and McGuire, but I'm surprised he doesn't pull all of them out.
Yeah.
But they may just be content to run out the clock here. Oh no, McGuire, she'll get one more basket in there. Another layup. I thought it was going to be a jump shot, but she jukes us one more time.
She's saving it for the tournament.
Well, he may as well. Tournaments when it matters most. Annessa Hicks, one more three for the stat sheet. So Annessa Hicks catching some fire late. We'll be talking to her for Humboldt. We'll be talking to McGuire and Bell for Roosevelt, as Roosevelt wins the Twin Cities Championship, and the trophy will stay in Minneapolis, just at a different school. The final score, Roosevelt 73, Humboldt 63. Great game by both teams, though.
It was a really great game. I mean, the girls came out and they fought from beginning to end.
And what I liked is that they did not treat this like an exhibition. They treated this like a playoff game.
They went each other like they wanted to kill each other, and that's what you got to do. You got to be very competitive, and that's what they did. They competed.
So we'll take a break. We'll bring out Angelina Hicks for Humboldt and Jasmine Bell and Suriya McGuire for Roosevelt, so stick around.
The Minnesota Blizzards of the American Basketball Association, and by continuing contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.
Mike Peden here with the Roosevelt players of the game, Suriya McGuire and Jasmine Bell. And let's start with you, Bell. You had a monstrous first half, 18 points, just getting a lot of feeds inside the paint, just dominating the inside game.
I think my guards the most, because they looked at me, they seen the open slots in the paint, and I got there and believed in my teammates and myself to finish each basket every time.
What does this mean for Roosevelt? Their first Twin Cities appearance since 1992. I imagine you were just born around that time, probably a tiny little infant. So what does this mean for the school?
This is a big, I believe we just made history. All I can say is we made history, and I'm proud of us, and hopefully we make it all the way. So.
Speaking of all the way, what do you need to do that you learned from this game that will help you in section play? What do you need to improve on?
Just step up our defense and keep our intensity up the whole game.
Okay, now McGuire, we're going to go to you. First of all, Kaylani Edwards, she took a pretty hard hit late in the game. How's she doing?
She's fine. She just got a little back injury. It's probably just bruised, but she'll be ready to play on Thursday, Saturday.
So you've been the anchor for this Roosevelt program the last few years. What does this mean for you? You go out winning the conference title after spending years in South Shadow, and then you beat Humboldt to win the Twin Cities game.
I feel it's a big accomplishment for us. Really, I think it's about time. It just time would tell like how long it's been for us to get here, and now it's just our time. Like for our last year, it's our time to actually show people what Roosevelt's about.
Now, last week, the Star Tribune published an article about you battling dyslexia, and so you mentioned how you started telling people more about it this year. So what is the response that you've got so far from fans, staff, relatives from the article, and how has that affected your perspective?
A lot of people that didn't know, they couldn't tell, but they were surprised because no one could see it. Like no one ever guessed that I had dyslexia, but I've overcome it. People are actually asking me to talk to some of their kids that has dyslexia, that has like that feels uncomfortable with it, about telling people. And I just now I just started talking to younger kids about it and just saying like, you're not different. It's just you learn different than others, but you're still getting the same education.
And what do you think that will do for folks who may have some sort of disability or some sort of obstacle if they want to get into basketball or other outlets, because you're going to go to Miami, a top school in the ACC?
I think it's going to be very motivating for them. Like they're just going to want to be even more successful just because people are always trying to hold them back or baby them because of their, I don't want to call it a disease, but something that they have that's less than others. But it's just going to be more, they're going to be more successful and more accomplished after they get something done that people thought they couldn't get done.
Well, dealing with autism spectrum disorder on my end, I can understand, the hardship and the obstacles that come with these disabilities, or these things, these labels where people put you in this box before they get a chance to know you. And so I imagine a lot of folks have congratulated you, and you certainly have our congratulations that you've won the conference championship. And I know, Ben, you enjoyed the post play from Roosevelt and the ability of these players.
Guys, I got to congratulate you guys. You guys played real well together as a team. And I just want to ask you a quick question. Did you have any pity on Humboldt's little players there trying to defend you down there?
No, every player I go at hard. I don't care how big or how small they are. I think they're all competition, and even if they're not, I still believe that I should go hard at them.
That is some good inspiration for a lot of players, because I see a lot of players play. I played in the NBA as well as college and high school all the way up here, and you can distinguish the good players from the normal players. The good players go out to kill and destroy every night, and that's what you guys did tonight. And I have to appreciate that, and I want you to continue doing that. And for all you fans out there listening, this is how you play basketball. That's why it's distributed to you.
Thank you.
And I had a question for you. You have a very nice game. I mean, you can pretty much do anything you want out there.
Thank you.
But the one thing I was looking for was more mid-range jump shot. Why are you holding back on your mid-range jumpers?
Because I feel if my opponent's not stopping me from driving, why stop? Like if they're not stopping me from doing my first move, my first instinct, then why jump back and do something else? Until they stop me from doing what I'm more powerful in driving than shooting a jump shot, but I can shoot the ball as well.
But you do have a jump shot.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that.
It wasn't as strong before, but I got it up during the summer.
Okay, and then I'm going to have to throw this in there too. I do a little personal training as well, so any young ladies want to be involved with some of my training, we got some college players that you guys be welcome to work with, and more at Lifetime Fitness. So I'm going to give you guys my cards, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys, and also watching you guys grow in your college endeavors.
Thank you.
Again, congratulations and good luck. Perhaps we'll see you in the state tournament.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jasmine Bell and Suriya McGuire, Minneapolis Roosevelt. Mike Peden and Ben Coleman back here with the Humboldt player of the game, Annessa Hicks. Annessa, let's rewind a little bit to Thursday night. You had to sweat it out against St. Paul Central just to get here. So what were the emotions after you beat Central, won the conference championship, and earned the right to play here?
I was just excited. I mean, never happened for us. I was just excited.
Roosevelt dominated in the post again like they did the first time around, but what did you learn by playing them a second time that you can take with you for the 1A section playoffs next week?
We just gotta get out on the guard so they can't penetrate that easy to get to the post. So we gotta put pressure on the guards.
Well, and they might want to watch out for you too. You've got some pretty deep range as you showed at the end there. I know you're looking for a win in this game, but what does it mean for Humboldt to get their first conference championship in addition to their 4th winning season in the last 5 years after they spent years as sort of the laughingstock of the St. Paul City Conference?
It's just an honor. I mean, everyone's excited. The whole community's excited. Everyone's just happy for us, and we're loving it right now.
Ben, you had some things to say for Annessa here?
Yeah, Mrs. Hicks, how you doing? Ben Coleman here. All right. I enjoyed watching you play tonight. You are a heck of a player. I look forward to seeing you play more in the future as well. Are you related to like the Dwayne Hickses from Minneapolis? Okay. All right. But anyway, what was you guys' thought coming into the game? What was your game plan? And how do you think you guys fared with your game plan?
We were really just looking we were looking for the post to beat us down, but you know, we weren't trying to have Shaquille Bowler or Suriya McGuire go off, and I don't know. It kind of worked, kind of didn't. Obviously, it didn't actually. So.
No, you guys came out and fought real hard. Was that one of your game plans to come out there and play with high intensity and try to trap them and make it an up-tempo game?
Yeah, we just wanted to come out and play Humboldt basketball. That's all year. That's all we wanted to do.
Okay. Congratulations, you guys fought. There's no reason to hang your heads down low. You guys fought an excellent game. I look forward to seeing you guys playing in tournaments.
Thank you.
Yeah, 1A state tournament. So you think you can pull it off this time?
Yeah, we want to. We feel like we can, so hopefully see us at the state tournament.
Well, as I mentioned, a lot of folks don't know about you now, and a couple weeks ago, no one knew about you. So congratulations on everything you've done. Maybe we'll see you in the state tournament, but you go out as the undefeated St. Paul City Conference champion, and I say that because no school can come back and beat you next year.
Yeah.
That was Annessa Hicks of Humboldt, and that will do it from here. Final score, Roosevelt 73, Humboldt 63. Roosevelt, the 2010 Twin Cities champions.
Hey, Ms. Hicks, keep me
For everyone
posted what
here
your
at Buster
career's
Media Group, this is Mike Peden. So long, everybody.